Hello everyone. Before starting the Kali Linux preparation and before start preparing Kali Linux to be used as penetration testing, I'd like to speak a little about Kali Linux history. To start with Kali Linux history, we should speak about Unix history. In 1964, Bell Labs, General Electric, and MIT Institute started Multics operating system. This operating system was written in assembly language. Assembly, it's a very low-level language. The performance was bad and it was just a poor operating system. After Multics, in 1969, B language appeared. It was developed only by Bell Labs, and Bell Labs decided to develop a B language. B language started in 1969. It was a restructure of Multics operating system just to be written in B language instead of the assembly language. They call it Unix. After that, in 1972, C language appeared, and sometimes they call the C language K and R, referring to Dennis Ritchie and Ken Thompson, who developed this language. Bell Labs as well used C language to write Unix, this time with X, Unix. After that, a research group in California University in 1977 started their own operating system. They call it PSD, Berkeley Software Distribution, that was written in C language. After that, Bell Labs decided to convert the Unix software license to a non-free. So they wrote their NDA license, non-distribution agreement, and they converted their Unix license from free open source or free source code to a non-free source code. And just for your knowledge, at that time, the license cost was $150,000, so it was not available for end users or for small companies. So many companies bought Unix and made their own operating systems, such as Sun, they made Solaris operating system, IBM, they made the AIX, and HP developed the HP Unix. In 1984, GNU operating system was developed. GNU was the abbreviation to GNU's not Unix. This was developed by Richard Stallman. The main idea for this was to make the source code for free. So Richard Stallman has founded the Free Software Foundation, FSF, and he wrote the general public license just to protect his source code. So GNU operating system was a collection of applications, libraries, and even games. Richard Stallman failed to develop a kernel for his OS, and he was working on developing a kernel. After 3 years, in 1987, Minix operating system started. Minix refers to Mini Unix by Andre Tenenbaum. It was for educational purposes and universities. Minix OS was a clone of Unix, but it was having different characteristics. In 1991, a Finnish student, his name is Linus Torvalds, started developing a kernel. That kernel, he called it Linux. It was different from Unix by being multitasking, multi-user, where Unix, it was multi-user but single tasking or single task system. When Richard Stallman saw the Linux, he decided to stop developing his own kernel and he used Linux to replace the kernel he was developing. That's why they call Linux the GNU Linux or GNU/Linux. Many companies start using GNU Linux, such as Debian, which started in 1993, and our Kali Linux is from Debian family, and its development process started in 2012 and released in 2013 by Offensive Security.